Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. We're going to do my April monthly reading wrap up. This video is going to be a little bit hectic because we're in the middle of moving right now. All of my stuff is pretty much packed up. There will be moving vlogs coming soon, so if it sounds a little echoey, that's because it's pretty much empty in here. But I thought I'd quickly film my reading wrap up before we get too caught up in the chaos of moving and such. So here are the books that I read in April. The first one that I finished is The Pelican Brief by John Grisham. And I'll just scoot over a little bit so I can put the covers up here because I don't have any of the physicals unpacked at the moment. And this one I actually listened to on audiobook. We've been doing a lot of driving lately, so a lot of audiobooks happened this month. I gave this one 3.5 stars. I thought it was okay. It is a thriller, basically. Well, I guess not a thriller. It's like a legal, I guess a thriller. Legal thriller would be what it would probably be classified as. But basically, there's these two Supreme Court justices that get murdered, and then this college girl in law school writes this brief and it gets sent to the White House, and then it basically creates this whole thing. All of a sudden people are trying to kill her, and it kind of goes from there. To be honest, I don't really remember a ton about this book, which is part of why it's got a lower rating. I thought it was good. It definitely took a while to get into it. There's a lot of legal stuff, so be prepared for that. But I don't feel like you really needed to fully understand all of it in order to get what was happening in the book, so that was nice. And pretty much that's it. I just don't feel like any of the characters were super memorable. I don't know. It was a good one-time listen if you're looking to maybe try like a legal thriller instead of other things. That would be a good option. An audiobook was fine. I liked the narrator. And then I read The Missing of Clairdelune, and this one I actually gave 5 stars. This is book 2 in the Mirror Visitors series. I feel like I've explained it a lot because I'm reading one of the other books for a video I'm filming that will be coming out after this, but basically this book is a YA fantasy where the world has been like shattered into all these different pieces. So you have all these chunks of earth floating around the core, which they call arcs. Each arc has a family spirit that everyone is descended from, and they have basically family powers surrounding one thing. So like there's one arc where the main character is from that is all about like objects. So some people can animate them, some people can read into their past, stuff like that. One of them is all mind things. You kind of learn about them as you go. And at the beginning of the book, you're following Ophelia, who is basically getting put into an arranged marriage with a guy from another arc. And then it kind of just goes from there. I don't want to say much more than that because I feel like I will get into spoiler territory. So that's book 1. Book 2, it pretty much picks up right where book 1 leaves off. And I can't say a ton more about the plot. It's very court intrigue. There's some mystery going on. I really like Ophelia. She's a fun character. I really like Thorn. And there's a whole cast of side characters that are super fun. So highly recommend it. I did give it 5 stars. I read it quite quickly. I think the characters are super engaging. The plot's super good. The magic system's really interesting. I don't know if I've ever read magic like that before. But so that's The Missing of Clairdelune, book 2 in the Mirror Visitor by Christelle Dabos. I don't know. I don't think I'm saying that correctly with a French accent. And then back to audiobooks, I actually listened to The 7.5 Deaths of Evelyn Hardcastle. And this one I gave 4 stars. If you don't know what this one is, it is a mystery. I'd say it probably fits more in mystery than thriller, where this guy is basically, he wakes up with no memory, and how much can I say without spoiling this? Do you know that he's waking up? Yeah, so he's basically waking up in a different body and reliving a day. So it's kind of like a Groundhog's Day thing, but he's waking up in a different person's body each time, and he's trying to solve a murder that happens at the end of the day. So he wakes up in the morning, he goes through with that person's perspective. At the end of the day, Evelyn gets murdered. That's why she has 7.5 deaths, and he's trying to solve it by the end of going through all these hosts. Again, I'd listened to this one as an audiobook. I really liked the narrator on this one. Thought it was a great narrator. It definitely has a slow build up to get into the point where you're getting actual information. There were a few characters I didn't love as much. Obviously he's switching bodies, so you're getting all these different point of views and characters based off of what body he's in. Some of them are better than others, but overall I thought it was really good. I can see why this one has gotten so popular. And then the next one that I read was Children of the Mind, which is book 4 in the Ender's Saga, which starts with Ender's Game. This one I actually read for video, so I won't go too in-depth because there will be a whole video with in-depth thoughts coming from that one. But Ender's Game is a sci-fi series by Orson Scott Card. The first book is very classic sci-fi. It's this kid gets put into like battle school, they're fighting aliens, that kind of thing. Book 2 then takes a whole different spin-off of it, and then you kind of follow a plot, book 2, 3, 4 from there. So book 4 is definitely kind of a far cry from what Ender's Game is. I gave it 4 stars. Did I already say that? Gave it 4 stars. I thought that this one was just okay. It's definitely kind of switching into some different characters. By book 4, you kind of have run the course of the original characters for the most part. I do think it was a great ending to wrap it up, and I will definitely be reading more books in the Ender's Verse. I am trying to read them in publication order, so I don't entirely know which book that leaves me with next, but I'm sure I'll film a video or do those in another wrap up when I get to them. But overall, Children of the Mind was good. It wasn't my favorite of the 4 books. I think Speaker for the Dead was, but it was so good, and it was a good conclusion. And then the last book that I finished this month was A Curious Beginning by Deanna Ray Borden. This is book 1 in the Veronica Speedwell series. I did listen to this one in audiobook. This was another one that I did really like the narrator, so that was nice. I gave this 3.75. This is definitely a book that was a little out of my normal genre to an extent. I definitely read a lot of mysteries, which has a mystery element, but it also is a little more, I hate to say romancy because there's not like a ton of actual romance that happens, but it's more like in that genre. So there's definitely some things as far as that goes that I was like, okay, let's get back to the mystery that's happening. But basically what it is, how much is on the blurb? It's a historical fiction mystery book, but basically her aunt who she's been living with dies. She comes back from the funeral and somebody is in her house essentially, and then some guy shows up. Well, okay, she gets back from the funeral. There's this guy in her house breaking in. She tries to chase him down. Somebody else comes and intervenes and basically says, your life is in danger, come with me to London. So she's like, okay, whatever. Goes with him to London. He entrusts her to the other guy named Stoker. And then the guy that brought her to London dies. And so then Veronica and Stoker go on this whole little adventure to try and figure out who's trying to kill her, if they're even after her, if this was something totally unrelated. It goes from there. I did really like the mystery element. The storyline with the mystery was really interesting. It did take a bit to get into it, but once you got into it, it went really fast at the end. I felt like it was a part where I was getting within a couple hours left of the audiobook and I was like, are we actually going to wrap this up? Because I still have a lot of questions, but it did get there. Her character is very interesting. She is a very speaks her mind type of person. She's a scientist back in a time when women weren't really supposed to be in science. And so that kind of tells you a lot about her personality. There were a few times where I felt like it was a bit much, where she has no filter at all. And so there were some conversations and things that she gets into that I was like, we could skip that. Also, as somebody who doesn't do great with blood, there were quite a few injuries. Lots of stitches happening in this book. So if that makes you queasy, just be aware. There were just a few times where I had to skip past some scenes because I didn't want to listen to all the details about stitches and whatnot. So heads up on that. 3.75, I thought it was good. I probably will continue the series at some point. I think they're fun audiobooks to just be listening to while you do stuff. So, and it's pretty short. So it was a good one. I'm not like obsessed, but I will continue the series. So those are the, what was that, 5 books that I read in April. I guess I'll quickly go over a rough TBR. I don't have a ton of reading plans for May going into it. I'm almost done with the 3rd book in the Mirror Visitor series. I will definitely be reading the 4th one as well to finish that one up. And then those are going to be in a video coming up along with, I believe it's called The Origin by Dan Brown. It is the 4th or 5th book in the Robert Langdon series, which is a mystery series following a religious symbologist. And he like basically gets brought in onto these murders that have some kind of religious stuff that they want him to kind of help them on. I'm also currently, I've started the audiobook for, is it These Violent Delights? Yes, These Violent Delights. So I will definitely be finishing that over the course of the month, which is a, I can't tell if it's fantasy or not, but it's basically a retelling of Romeo and Juliet in Shanghai in some older time period, I'm not sure, but basically they're part of rival gangs. So I'm interested to see what they do with the whole Romeo and Juliet thing, how much they twist it. It'll be interesting. And then I also have another video that's coming up. I don't know if I will finish this book during May, we will see, but I am going to be doing a reread of War and Peace, so that one will be a fun video coming up. Again, I don't know if I'll quite finish that in May. We'll see how much time I get, but I will be doing a lot of driving this month, so I'll probably end up listening to another audiobook. I don't know if that'll be the second Veronica Speedwell or if I will try something else. We'll just see what I'm feeling. There's also a couple Agatha Christie books on there that I might read or listen to, however you want to say it. So anyways, that's my April wrap up. A quick look at my May TBR. I will see you in the next videos for prepping for moving vlogs coming really soon. So thank you so much for watching, and I will see you in the next one. Bye.